launch control, brake, accelerate. Whole thing's shaking. Send it. Well, I guess that's why they call it the Speed. The Continental GT has to be all things to all men and women and footballers. It has to be fast, it has to look good, it has to be comfortable, and it has to be fun to drive. And there is no Continental GT that has to embody all those traits more than the GT Speed, the latest version of which promises to be the fastest, bestest, most Continental GT Speed there's ever been. Yes, there have been GT Speeds in the past, all of which promised more quality, more power, and more exclusivity. What's it actually like though? Well, I'm going to assess every single one of the areas it's supposed to excel in to find out whether it really is the top of the Continental food chain. First things first, is it drop dead gorgeous? Come on. It looks like a Continental, sure, but the devil is in the detail. This one by the pool is finished in solar flare, and if you look closely, you can spot a few of the specific tweaks for the Speed. The radiator grille and lower bumper grills are finished in dark tint. There are Speed badges on the front fender, along with more sculpted sport sills. You obviously get unique 22-inch Speed wheels. Bright silver, dark tint, and gloss black finishes are all available, plus dual versions of the fuel filler cap and illuminated Bentley tread plates. It's nice. If you want a car that makes you feel like one of the beautiful people, definitely get one of these. Okay, that's quite enough of that. Speed is literally in this car's name, so what we want to know is, how much speed does it actually have? The car uses a 6-litre W12, which in this third generation makes 659 PS, 26 PS more than the old GT Speed, while still making the same 900 Newton meters of torque. So it should be quick, but how quick? Only one way to find out, I guess. Launch control, sport mode, brake, accelerate. Whole thing's shaking. Send it. Oh, she's lively. Well, I guess that's why they call it the Speed. Oh, so Bentley say it will do 0 to 62 in 3.6 seconds, but I'll let you in on a little secret. Earlier, I hooked up the race box and I recorded a time of 3.4 seconds. This thing is quicker than Bentley say. Shout out to this gearbox as well. 8-speed dual clutch automatic. Bentley say it's 50% quicker than before, and it feels it. Nice and sharp, nice and snappy, nice and responsive, really engaging to use. But you know what, on the subject of the acceleration, even though it is quick, it's not scary. In today's day and age, 659 horsepower isn't really an absurd figure, especially when you kind of factor in electric cars into that equation. So it's not terrifying, it's just that when you keep your foot pinned, there's that relentless surge of acceleration that just never seems like it wants to stop. Wow. The brakes are insane too. Carbon ceramics, so they save around 33 kilos, but that's not really what this car's about. What this car's about is having extreme stopping power. And I say extreme because these are the biggest brakes fitted to any road car. The front discs, get this, are 440 millimeters in diameter with 10 piston calipers, and the rear discs are 410 millimeters with 4 piston calipers, and they are hyper effective. I mean, just watch this. Just a little tap, watch this. You see that? It's like it wants my head to smash into the steering wheel. I've never said this before, but it feels a little bit over-braked. I get why they've done it. It's a big, heavy GT, and if you take it on the track, the brakes aren't going to fade, but out here on the road, wow. they are a little bit extreme.
But acceleration and braking in a Bentley have always been good. What might have let these cars down in the past was their incredible weight, 2,300 kilograms in this case, and their comparative lack of agility. But Bentley claims to have sorted that too.
How? With the help of technology. They've thrown everything and the kitchen sink at this car to help it out. We've already talked about the all-wheel drive system, which obviously when you put your foot down, just hooks up, it really does. But it's not all about straight line speed, because when you go into sport mode, it apportions the majority of your torque and power to the rear axle, so now it feels a little bit more rear biased. But they haven't just dumped a load of power to the rear axle and hope for the best. No, because for the first time ever in a Bentley, the GT Speed has an electronically controlled limited slip differential. And that manages torque across the left and right hand side of the rear axle. Give it a bootful in the middle of a corner and the car will decide whether to leave the diff open, whether to lock it 50-50, or whether to overspeed the outside rear wheel to help you, well, either grip up and accelerate through a corner, or to pull off big hairy slides, or whatever your preference might be.
Obviously, with a car this big and this heavy, there's always going to be the risk of understeer, going straight on instead of around the corner. But they've added a couple of gadgets to mitigate that too.
The first is torque vectoring by braking, which just nibbles the inside wheels in the corner just to help the car rotate. You've also got rear wheel steering, which increases the agility a notch. On top of that, you've also got Bentley's active 48-volt roll stabilization system, which is designed to keep the car completely flat through the bends. I say completely, it's not completely flat. On a lot of cars, those systems will keep you totally level, but in this, there's that little bit of play just to make it feel a tad more organic and a bit less fake when you're going through corners, which just makes the cornering experience feel a bit more natural than it otherwise might be. Yeah, it's still a big old car, but I am genuinely surprised and impressed by how capable it is through the bends and how enjoyable it is through the bends as well. They've done a great job with this.
The next thing a Continental GT Speed needs to be is phenomenal on the inside. The Speed isn't a great departure from the standard Conti, but it has a set of tweaks that help lift it above the norm. Specifically, it features extensive use of Alcantara, including on the embroidered Speed headrests, on the heated steering wheel, the roof lining for this coupe version, the center console, and lower dash. The Mulliner driving specification comes as standard, bringing with it diamond-in-diamond quilting on the seats and door cards. And these sports pedals are so delicious it almost seems a shame to sully them with your shoes.
Driving a Bentley isn't always about speed, of course. These cars are designed to feel super luxurious when you're taking it easy, and the GT Speed, despite being a little bit more hardcore in nature, doesn't overstep the boundaries. When you knock it back into Bentley mode, or especially comfort mode, the whole thing just slackens off really nicely, and immediately you feel the suspension just change character and the car just begins to glide over the surface of the road. You feel those undulations get absorbed into the shock absorbers, and it's just a wonderfully compliant ride. It really is. That 3-chamber air suspension does a remarkable job. We're running on big 21-inch wheels at the moment, and you can barely tell. Normally, enormous wheels like this result in a bit of a crashy ride and a lot of road noise, but even though there is a bit of tire roar coming through, it's certainly not enough to put you off going on a really long journey in this car. This is the coupe model, of course, but Bentley will sell you a convertible option. And interestingly, they say the new convertible is quieter than the old coupe. Now, that might make you think, how rubbish was the old coupe? But I've been in it, and trust me, it was a very, very refined car. So it just shows you what a great job they've done with this new generation. One of the things this car is really good at is making you feel really special. It just makes you feel justified in spending £200,000, if that makes any sense at all. Just every single surface looks and feels like it was built with joy and pride. I love this Alcantara and the leather on the steering wheel, the metal across the dashboard, all these little touches. It's easy to drive. That rear wheel steering makes it nice and nimble and maneuverable around town. the refinement, the stereo system's good. Everything about it is just nice. It is a lovely machine, and I know we kind of expected that at the start, but in a weird way, this surpasses expectations, because not only does it do the luxury and refinement side of things really well as you'd expect from a Bentley, I think it does all the performance side of things even better than you might expect from a Bentley. All of those chassis enhancements, the crowbarred into this car, the rear wheel steering, the 48-volt anti-roll system, the rear biased nature of the all-wheel drive system, all of that adds up to a car that is not only brilliant at low speeds, but also an absolute riot when you want to enjoy yourself. I said at the start that this car has to be all things to all men, women, and footballers, and it really is. It covers every single base impeccably. If you got 200 grand to spend, chuck it this way. You won't be disappointed.